Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very beautiful short story written by Katherine Mansfield. Katherine Mansfield is a modern short story writer and she was born and brought up in New Zealand. The short story The Fly was written in 1922, just a year before her death, and it is deeply connected to her own experience of loss. Her beloved younger brother, Leslie, was killed in World War I in 1915, and his death devastated her. This story, written 7 years after his death, explores how we deal with grief, or more accurately, how we fail to deal with grief. The story was published during the aftermath of World War I, when Europe was still reeling from the massive loss of life. Nearly an entire generation of young men had been wiped out. So, when we read this story, we need to keep in mind that Mansfield is writing for an audience who would have immediately understood the weight of mourning a lost son. The Fly opens in an office on a Tuesday. Mr. Woodfield, a retired man who has suffered a brain stroke, always visits his friend, known only as the boss, every Tuesday. So, in this short story, we have only two characters. One is Mr. Woodfield, and the second one is the boss. The name of the boss has nowhere been given. Both of them are elderly people, both of them are quite friendly, and both of them have lost their younger son in World War One. The boss is older than Woodfield, but is still hardy, active, and quite proud of his luxurious, comfortable office. Every week, he tells Woodfield all about the new carpet, new furniture, and electric heating. Mr. Woodfield and the boss, both of them are friends and both of them are chatting in the luxurious office of the boss. But there is one thing the boss never mentions: a picture of a young man in a military uniform. Woodfield, however, has something important to tell the boss about that young man. He cannot remember what it is at first. The boss pours him a small serving of excellent whiskey with the advice: drink it down, it will do you good. Both men enjoy their treat. Warmed by the liquor, Woodfield remembers his message. He says his daughter have been to Belgium to visit their brother's grave, and they found the boss's son's grave as well. Woodfield remarks that the girls were very pleased with the way the place is kept. It is beautiful, neat as a garden, with flowers everywhere. Woodfield asks the boss if he has been there, and the boss responds with a no, no. Woodfield does not seem to notice his friend's discomfort and goes on about jam pots and expenses. Then he leaves, and the boss tells his assistant Mackay that he is not to be disturbed for half an hour. The boss now means to weep for his son, the young man in the photograph, the young man with so much potential who was killed in the war. The boss built his company for his son. All his hopes and dreams had centered on that boy, his only son, who has already successful and well loved for his bright, natural self with the right word for everybody. Then the young man went off to war, and 6 years ago the boss got a telegram with the words, "Deeply regret to inform you." His son was dead, and he was a broken man with his life in ruins. But now the boss cannot weep, even though he wants to. Something has changed. As The boss gets up to look at his son's picture. The boss notices a fly is struggling in the ink pot. Feeling sorry for the insect, the boss fishes it out with a pen and sets it on some blotting paper. The fly proceeds to clean itself almost joyfully as if it were happy for its escape. The boss watches and then deliberately plops a blot of ink back onto the fly. The insect cleans itself again, and the boss admires the plucky little devil for its courage. The fly, after being rescued by the boss, sitting on the blotting paper. The boss, however, will not leave the fly alone. He tests it again with another drop of ink. The fly does not move for a moment of suspense. Then it does, and the boss is relieved. Yet the fly is timid and weak now, and the boss knows it. Yet he put one more drop of ink on the fly. This time the insect does not move. It is dead. The boss throws the fly into the waste basket after the fly is dead. But at the same time, he experiences a grinding feeling that scares him. He calls for his assistant and asks for more blotting paper. Then he tries to remember what he was thinking about before he saw the fly, but he cannot. The boss is shocked to discover that he cannot feel his grief anymore. 6 years have passed since his son died, and he is horrified to realize that time has somehow dulled the pain. There is this devastating moment where he tries to weep. He wants to weep, expects to weep, but he cannot. The dead fly on the blotting paper. In fact, the death of the fly is the result of the cruelty which has been exhibited by the boss. In fact, throughout the story, there is this theme of control and loss of control. The boss is clearly a man who likes to be in control. He runs a successful business. He is refurbished his office beautifully. He offers Woodyfield whiskey from his private supply. He is the one in charge, but his son's death represents the ultimate loss of control. He could not protect his son. He could not stop the war. He could not prevent the death. When he tortures the fly, he is exercising control over life and the death in a way he could not with his son. He is playing God, deciding when the fly lives and when it dies. It is a twisted attempt to regain some sense of power over mortality. The fly becomes a symbol of resilience. Each time the boss drops ink over it, the fly struggles, cleans itself, and tries to survive. You could read this time as the boss seeing his son in the fly, a young creature struggling against overwhelming forces, fighting to survive despite impossible odds. Each time the fly recovers, it is like watching his son go off to war again, hoping this time he will make it through. But there is also something darker here. The boss keeps testing the fly, keeps pushing it until finally it cannot recover anymore. The ending is absolutely crucial. The boss forgets about the fly the moment his assistant removes it. He cannot even remember what was on the blotting paper just moments before. This is Mansfield's most chilling insight. We forget everything eventually. Even the things we swore we would never forget. The boss was worried. He could not feel his grief anymore. But the ending suggests something even worse. We don't just lose our feelings, we lose the memories themselves. The boss has repressed his emotions so deeply that he cannot express them normally. Instead, they manifest in this cruel, unconscious behavior. It is like when you are really angry at someone, but you cannot express it, so you end up snapping at someone else entirely, a friend, a family member, even a pet. The emotion has to go somewhere, and it finds an outlet in unexpected ways. The fly is a perfect example of modernist technique. Nothing much happens in terms of external plot. A man has a visitor, they chat, the visitor leaves, the man tortures a fly. But internally, psychologically, everything happens. We witness a man's confrontation with loss, denial, displaced cruelty, and forgetting. The story is drenched in irony. The boss prides himself on being strong, but he is emotionally paralyzed. He rescues the fly initially, but then tortures it. He wants to remember his son, but ends up forgetting the fly completely. He seems more alive than Woodyfield, but emotionally he is more dead. So this is all about this very beautiful emotional short story, The Fly. Thank you very much for watching this video.